All right, and what's brewing today? D2C hair care brand Moxie Beauty has raised 17.3 crore rupees in funding led by Fireside Ventures and others. Launched in November last year, Moxie Beauty makes hair care products which are tailored for Indian hair textures, and it plans to use the funds that it has raised towards product innovation, research, hiring talent and expanding distribution. For more on this and Moxie Beauty's growth roadmap into India's $5 billion hair care market, I am now joined by Nikita Khanna, who is the co-founder of the company. Nikita, welcome to Startup Street. Thank you very much for your time here on CNBC-TV18. Let's begin with how your journey into building, what you call hair care 2.0 on your LinkedIn profile. How did it begin with Moxie Beauty? What is the market gap you identified, and what's the response been like so far?
Thank you so much for having me. I think hair care 2.0, as we call it, we'll maybe just jump into that a little bit. The problem we're addressing is that global companies don't actually make their formulas for Indian hair. So Moxie makes salon quality products for Indian hair textures, weather and habits. Why this is important is that genetically Indian hair is actually very different. Brown races tend to have wavy, frizzy, curly hair. And you have to account for Indian hair texture, whether even our habits are very unique. South Asian habits are very unique. We're all promised that silky smooth outcome that never arrives. I'm sure you can relate. So we need to be able to formulate. We moved away from leaving oil in our hair. Culturally, aesthetically, we moved away from that. But the solutions that we copy-pasted from the West don't actually deliver. They are meant for Caucasian hair, which is very different texturally. You enter the shower with straight hair, you exit the shower with straight hair. So we specialize currently with our first range in frizzy, wavy, curly hair, which is about 80% of Indians. That is the texture that we have on our heads. And we formulate, we spend anywhere between 1 to 2 years getting our formulas right with a great team of scientists. All happen to be women. That's not by design. And we test only on Indian folks, Indian hair, and no Photoshop. Every photograph, every sort of display of results is shot not even in a studio, it's shot in our office. So that is what I like to call hair care 2.0. We're very focused on solving this problem.
Well, I couldn't agree more. We need more products for our hair type. But, Nikita, give us a sense of the pace at which business has grown, because you've only just started. What sort of revenues are you already clocking? What kind of sales are you making on a monthly basis?
So we are 8 months old. This month, we will do a little over 1 crore in net sales. And this is just via our website and Amazon. We will be going live on other channels. I think we wanted to be very, very focused on D2C in the first few months because, that's where you're closest to the customer, and what we're doing is very different. So we needed to be able to measure that product market fit and really get into those cohorts. So clocking about 1 CR, this has doubled in the last 2 months, actually. And we're looking to keep doubling every 4 to 6 months because it's still very early days.
Well, we'll get back to that distribution and those numbers, but let's get to that 17.3 crore funding that you've raised. How exactly do you plan to deploy it when you talk about product development, distribution? What are the plans there? I mean, are you looking at a physical presence as well?
So I think the major buckets for fund deployment are product development, certainly. Then distribution and working capital is a very big one, and hiring. Right, we need to build the team. When it comes to product dev, if you formulate from scratch, most of the kind of the first generation of D2C brands, they broadly white label. They pick up a formula, they maybe tweak it a little bit. But if you do the full cycle of 18 to 24 months, it's very, very intensive in terms of resources. And we want to be able to address more problems, both in enhancement and styling, and also I think just generally in maintenance. So there's that. In terms of distribution and working capital, the benchmark for fulfillment timeline in India now is not even next day, right? It's 15 minutes, it's same day. So being able to hold that much inventory as we expand into more e-commerce channels, as we expand into quick commerce, becomes very complicated, and the working capital blockage is pretty large. I think offline presence, maybe not at scale at the moment because it's still very early for us. We do partner with a few select salons, especially ones that understand, wavy curly hair textures. But that's more from an educational, experiential standpoint. I think the first line of sort of getting to folks in 15 minutes for us is going to be quick commerce, and then we'll probably come to offline in a more meaningful way only next year.
All right. Just picking up on that, finally, as a young company, how are you building brand awareness? Because, this is a heavily competitive market with some players that have been around forever, and there are very many new ones like yours that are coming up every other month. What is your USP, and, how much market do you think you can capture in the coming years?
So, very, very good question. One I reflected on a lot before I quit my job more than 2 years ago now to start this. There was a lot of self-doubt also on whether I'd be able to figure this out. So in terms of building the brand, right, I think because we are so innovation and product focused, and we are solving what I believe to be a very deep unsolved problem. We're very video first. Any new age brand has to be content and community oriented. That is where you'll be able to explain the problem you're solving. That is where, that word of mouth will spread on its own, and it really becomes its own beast. So we're very, very content native, and that will continue to be a focus for us. In terms of being able to stand out, right, I think our growth, we didn't expect to reach this scale so quickly, is testament to the fact that we have picked up on a problem that is very deep. People are still, especially people that wear the hair long, right, so especially women, are still not able to figure out how to be able to wear the hair naturally. The straightener is kind of the only thing that you think will really be able to give you a reliable, good hair day when you have something important to do. So the problem is very real, and the results have been glorious. We have very high repeats. So I think just being able to articulate that and make a product that really works honestly is enough.
Well, Nikita, I'd love to keep talking about this, but we'll keep that for another time. Thank you very much for your time here on CNBC-TV18 today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
On that note, it is time for us to